And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Karma is a bitch and it is called Kelly Sue DeConnick. This mentally disturbed waste of space and oxygen went on an interview in 2017 with Sci-Fi Wire, from which you saw some excerpts at the beginning of this video, and she claimed that if you didn't like her politics, you were more than welcome to not buy her book. Works like magic, right?
Magic!
Now, from an obscure and recently unearthed interview from 2019 alongside her husband Matt Fraction, yes, this entity of a goblin has a husband, which was at first discussed by YouTuber Just Some Guy and provided additional information on by Bounding Into Comics, DeConnick admits being a bit worried about the then state of the comic book industry. Suffice it to say that the situation hasn't improved in these 2 years, with manga even destroying comics in sales and taking all 21st places in the most sold adult graphic novels back in April. But in 2017, DeConnick was cocky enough to claim that people were free to go someplace else if they didn't like her politics being inserted into comic books.
Magic!
Now, 2 years later, DeConnick expresses her concern when asked about how cool comics are and that they are a phenomenon. She says that the industry is shrinking actually. She said, quote, "That's hard because from our perspective, the industry has contracted and we're very worried about comics right now. So it's always interesting to me that the outside perspective is always comics are booming," end quote. Well, Kelly, it's not even coming from the outside, but from the very same industry. That's where you got it all wrong. Your peers, your quote-unquote friends, even your stupid husband all think that the industry is better than ever. They think that because conventions are full or because merchandise is out there, everything is fine. They even dare state that the comic book industry is booming because manga sales are healthy and stable. You get to see more manga in places like Barnes & Noble, so yay comics, right? And long live the industry. Hilarious stuff to see, really. After dim-witted nutcases such as yourself went out of their way to mock fans, tease them, and even claim they were the problem, now you are worried and you think it doesn't look good for the industry? But what baffles me the most is the total lack of self-awareness from this goblin. Speaking about comic book shops, DeConnick said the following, quote, "Stores are closing at a phenomenal rate. Independent comic sales are down. Mainstream comic sales are down except the top 3 or 5 books are up. Everything in the mid-list is way down. Numbers that used to be numbers that would get you cancelled are now like, no, that's a hit," end quote. What were you expecting, Kelly? If not only do you mock fans when they request politics be taken out of comics, but you also have the gall to tell them not to buy them, and on top of that, you write shite stories. If you don't believe me, let's just ask Aquaman and what happened to him in March. And after you have just shot the bed, no apparent relation to Amber Heard, mind you, you want to fix the problem now? But she doesn't even fix it, fellas. Oh no, sir, of course not. When she and her husband were asked and discussed how to solve this problem, do they talk about poor writing or about how to engage fans in storylines and plots that would not only justify the printing of a floppy, but also the retail price at which it is sold? No, sir, of course not. What they resolve is that local stores and how they adapt to the new market environment is going to save the industry in the end, or at least help with it. As if it were the store's fault that their crap stories aren't selling. Kelly, you really got it all together, don't you? Did you ever think about your idiotic statements from 2017 mocking fans and your alliance with the nest of vipers that is the Whisper Network, with the likes of Tess Fowler, Heather Antos, Gail Simone, Brian Visaggio, and other quote-unquote jewels of the industry being part of the problem here? Because it looks to me like fans just listen to you and have agreed to comply. They aren't buying your shite. And this group of individuals is the worst collection of villains that you could always find inside the industry. While DeConnick admits there is a problem in the comic book industry that's leading to its implosion, she fails to see where it's really coming from. It's coming from people like them. She also fails to provide real solutions to the problem, limiting herself to stating the efforts from comic book shop owners by creating strong communities and ties to their customers. But make no mistake, this will eventually turn to manga and anime communities if they haven't already, because Japanese entertainment is giving them what they want and doesn't seem bent on trying to lecture them or shame them into taking a certain position. Simply put, manga is doing what comics haven't for quite some time, and DeConnick might be right when pointing out corporate entertainment being behind all of that. But truth be told, Warner has owned DC since the 1960s, and only now can we see this virtue signaling crap. It didn't start with corporate media. It might end there, mind you, and I can only hope that it doesn't take too long for that to happen. But the reality is that the biggest problem is coming from people like DeConnick, and those people that created this problem, you can't really expect them to be the ones that come up with the solution. The solution will have to come from outside, and if you ask me, I really believe that the solution is already out there in independent comic books, with independent creators, with campaigns from crowdfunding sites that can give fans exactly what they are looking for. That excitement, that entertainment, that action that once they got from regular comic books. And truth be told, also, there are lots and lots of comic books out there with lots of quality. The problem here is that the superhero genre has been so widely spread that most people think about superheroes when they think about comics. And also, the problem comes from the fact that inside this genre, there is this virus called woke. And the woke is actually destroying the industry from within. When people like DeConnick and her ilk, all those that belong to the Whisper Network, try to cancel other individuals because they don't think the same way that they do, the only thing that they are trying to get is power. They are trying to grasp power. But what's power worth for when you have got nothing else? And make no mistake, the industry right now is falling into pieces. And pretty soon, there will be nothing whatsoever for these imbeciles. And that's when we're going to see the real colors. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments down below. And as always, everyone, until next time, peace out.